Amazon stock has halved in price since the year started, and this might be its lowest point. So, should you buy? Sit tight for the next 10 minutes as we go through recent news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stocks 101 for regular stock market updates. Amazon has an advertising business valued at $36 billion and is projected to grow with 2x in the next few years. Meta's fall definitely gave Amazon time to get on track and become big in the ad selling space, and the company is working to build an ecosystem by entering all these industries so people don't have to browse over to their competitors. With a reasonable market capitalization of $1.2 to $1.5 trillion, the stock can grow by over 50 to 60% once the market conditions improve, and in our opinion, another 100% growth is very much possible on top of that 60% as their revenue increases and they expand into other industries. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here now in the 1-day chart for Amazon, and as always, we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and to end it off, we'll get to the 5-minute chart. Now, right off the bat, first up, let me clear off all of these drawings that I used in my past analysis. First off, we can see that we're in a bearish trend, which of course does not look good. But does this mean that the stock is a bad buy for the long term? Definitely not. In my opinion, Amazon is currently at the best price that you can get it on, right? It might go a bit lower than this. We're talking $80, $75, but I don't see the stock heading all that low, right? Or way too low in that sense. And I personally think that the stock definitely is close to the bottom and it might rebound really soon. Now, a few other factors that we'd like to consider is first up, the industries that Amazon is currently exploring, right? First up, of course, with Prime Video, they are doing a lot of new stuff, but at the same time, I personally am waiting for the time that, when they actually adapt the same method that Netflix and Walt Disney are currently using, right? Disney Plus and Netflix. That is, of course, the the ad integrated plan, right? The cheaper plans that have ads in them. If that gets implemented, of course, that's another win. But I personally think that Amazon Prime, Prime in general, right? Prime Music, Prime Video, all of that stuff is mainly used by people who also use Amazon for e-commerce shopping. So it comes as a bundle, and no one will actually, or rather, that's again just my own opinion. I don't know about you guys, but I personally just use Prime mainly for shopping and stuff, and then, of course, on the side, I use it for the streaming platform, right? Of course, Amazon Prime Video. Now, of course, coming back to the topic where we talked about Amazon building an ecosystem, I personally think that it's great, but at the same time, Amazon does need to focus on building a separate entity altogether, which of course has nothing to do with Amazon, the e-commerce part or the Prime part, right? That should be fun to watch, and in my opinion, they will have a lot of untapped potential to get into, and of course, they can take this market cap, which currently is $870 billion. Definitely they can add 30 or 40 billion dollars if they were to venture out another company, and that of course needs to be a separate entity altogether. That of course means that it will be owned by Amazon, but at the same time it won't have much to do with Amazon Prime, Amazon Music, Amazon Shopping, all of that stuff. Of course you can integrate Amazon Pay into that, right? But then again, the markets are not in the best shape right now, which is why I believe that most of these big entrepreneurs, most of these big companies are working silently, and they'll start dropping these news updates and all of that stuff once the market actually starts to recover. So once the volumes start to pour in, once the S&P recovers, right, once the entire international global economy recovers, that's when I believe Amazon will drop a few big updates, and that will definitely give the stock a 50 to 60% rise, which we already talked about. Now to get that into perspective, we can see that the current price is about how much? $85.3 pretty much, right? So let's just say $85.17. We'll first go up by about 55%. So $135 is pretty justified for Amazon, right? And on top of that, when they get the big announcements, and of course at the rate that they're growing, how much growth can we expect? I personally would think that a $200 price target by the end of 2020, by mid 2024 probably. I won't say by the end of 2023 because we don't really know if the market is going to recover this year. I'd say this year because now 2023 is almost here. It's already the 27th of December. Now, if we talk about today's trading session, we are up on the pre-market. We're not that big of a gap, we don't have that big of a gap up. So in my opinion, this might turn out positive, right? We might actually go up today. And why is that so? Well, there are two rules that not exactly rules. Now, of course, I don't make the rules, right? But these are just observations that above 85, we have a resistance around pretty much 86, I guess, right? So if we were to get a gap up around 85.8 pretty much, then we would be in for a downtrend, right? Because that would just give us a push into the resistance and then we would come down. And at the same time, if we were to get a gap down near the S1, near the first support, which I'm assuming is around $85 itself, right? Then we could easily guess that it would be a bullish day because then we'll simply crash into the support and then get supported, go up. This is usually what happens, right? Again, I'm not saying that it will happen in every single scenario, but it normally happens. But at the same time, if we talk about the long-term price action, I do think that Amazon being a major part of the economy and of course the world's economy as well, not only the US, it will need a lot of backing, a lot of support from, of course, other markets, other companies, and their growth and the overall economic growth. And, overall, if the inflation problem that currently has taken a hold, it still hasn't been sorted as such. It's just that people have pretty much stopped talking about it altogether. Earlier, Twitter used to be flooded with that stuff. It's not anymore, right? So I hope to see that again, right? People talking about all of that stuff. Or maybe I'm just looking at the wrong places. But anyways, coming back to the analysis, I personally am very bullish on Amazon because of course, first up, it's one of the biggest companies in the world, right? Then it's at $800 billion, right, which is about 50 to 60% down from its actual valuation. So that's a 50% discount right there, right? So that will be a 50% gain once the market actually starts to recover. And with Amazon, the biggest factor is the volume. So even if you were to come in right now and put in $1 million, it won't affect the markets. It won't shake the markets as such, right? And that is, of course, what happens when you trade penny stocks, right? You cannot put in $1 million in a single buy trade. I mean, you can, but that would take a lot of time to get cleared out. That would take a lot of time and attention at the same time because, all of those holders will be like, hey, who the hell is buying $1 million worth of shares? So that's, of course, something that you can do with Amazon and no one will notice. But of course, with that, I believe we've analyzed this chart pretty much, and I've already given you guys my target of about $200, and that is it for the 1 day chart. And now we'll head into the 1 hour chart. And as you guys can see right here, we're now in the 1 hour chart. And right off the bat, we can see a bullish trend building up, right? So we have a resistance right over here around $85.5, right? So I believe we will likely break that today if we get a bullish trend, of course, right? Let me quickly get the extended trading hours. Where is it? Extended trading hours. So we can see both the aftermarket and the pre-market. Now we can see that we did get a gap up, but we fell down from 85.6 pretty much, the high that we made around here, right? It's still not exactly the same. It's a bit down, but anyways, you get the point. We can see that we're down to 85.24, which is now in a gap down. And of course, this would be an ideal situation in my opinion, right? If we get down to around 85.05, 85.1, then we'll likely be in for a bull trend today, right? But the higher the gap up, the higher the chances of falling down once the market opens. Again, that is my own analysis, so not financial advice, but we do have a resistance over here around 87 as well, which is pretty strong. So we must take note of it. 82.4. Damn, we went really low over here. And around here we can see $83. Around here we can see 83.5. And over here we can see 84.65. So where's the stock headed on the 1 hour chart? Well, as I already told you, if we get a gap down around, which we likely will because we're already down to 85.2, right? If we're around $85 pretty much at gap down, then we might get a bull trend. And I hope that this trend continues after getting a small pullback over here and then continues towards $86. So my price target for today will likely be 86.25, $86.5, pretty much that range. And with that, we'll move on into the most interesting chart, which of course is 5 minutes. So as you guys can see right here now in the 5-minute chart, and right off the bat, we can of course see the pre-market performance in a bit more detail now. We did get a negative pin bar candle over here, which did affect the stock quite a lot, after which we've converted this into a full-fledged bearish trend, on the short term, on the 5-minute chart, on the pre-market. So if the market, as I already told you, opens around 85.05, 85, $85, we can expect it to go down a bit and then get a gap up, or rather not a gap up but a bullish trend. Now if we were to observe yesterday's performance, we can see that a similar situation happened over here, right? We did touch a support, a double bottom at $83, and only after that did we actually start going up and build up a really strong bull trend. Now how strong are we talking about? From the bottom that we made at $83, right, we went up by about 3%. Now 3% might not seem a lot to those of you who trade penny stocks and highly volatile stocks, but in terms of Amazon, in terms of a stock that has millions of dollars being exchanged every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, right, that is crazy volume. We can see that, for example, over here for the last candle, we got 120,000 shares traded, which is a ton, right? And that is why, again, I gave you guys the example that you can put in a lot of money in the stock and not worry about it not getting liquidated, about your position being stuck in the stock, right, being converted, or anything like that. You don't have to worry about it in high volume shares like Amazon, Apple, or any big large cap stock. But with that, I'll have to analyze the previous performance as well, which we can see we did not get a gap down around the S1, right? We got a gap down below the S1 over here, and that is why the problem happened. That is why we fell down, and we got crazy selling volume over here, 300,000 shares, right? So that, of course, is not that good of a thing. But at the same time, I personally expect that we should be able to get good volumes on the buyer sides today, and that, of course, will be, a lot of you might be a part of it, because if you're going to invest in Amazon after watching this video, well, you'll be contributing to the volumes, of course. But then again, it could be risky. It's definitely risky. And that is why you should always remember that this most definitely was not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If for some reason you did not enjoy it, sure, you can hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel, Stox 101, for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.